Hi, I'm Esther and this is my evaluation. First, I'll be looking at how my product uses, develops or challenges forms and conventions of real media products. First, we're looking at my front cover. I did the most important conventions like barcodes, date lines, the masthead, stuff like that. But for my title, whilst doing my masthead research, I could see that a recurring style was to put the artist's head in front of the title. I chose a font that was sans serif and not design font, so it would be thin enough for the title to fit in without it being too small. I experimented with several colours for my masthead, which were also black and white, which were colours I found to be most favoured when I analysed my questionnaire. I felt that red was the only colour which made the title really stand out. Usually, splatters are bold, simple shapes, but I went against conventions by giving the splatter a dripping edge and a softer edge as well. Sometimes magazines such as NME will go against conventions and put a quote instead of an explanatory above the cover line. I decided to stick with conventions and just do a normal explanatory. I also did celebrities' names for like kickers and stuff, and cover lines to draw attention. The direction of the eye flow is sort of a background. A backward S. I positioned the main cover line and the picture on the left-hand side so that they would both be in the direction of the eye flow. I stuck with conventions for my front cover image. Usually the model's gaze is direct to the camera, and I also made sure the shot was a mid-shot, which is also another convention of music magazines. Next I'll be looking at my table of contents. I stuck with the normal conventions of doing editorial pillars, a title, and an editor's note. An editor's note kind of varies with magazine to magazine. The wall of pictures is more like Rolling Stone because of how the pictures are going down the side, but it's also similar to NME because of the square and symmetrical layout. For my editorial pillars, I decided to make it wholly based on music. Magazines such as the Rolling Stones can be focused on other things like world issues, but I decided to stick with conventions and make it purely music. My editor's note has a tendency to talk about the contents of the magazine and the special features, which is exactly what I did. I talked about the person on the front cover and how they enjoyed doing the photo shoot, and I did a link to the website. I really stuck to conventions with the articles and the sections by keeping all the page numbers in order and keep it in a simple straight line. The image credit over here is usually very unnoticeable, and I stuck with conventions by making it very small and hidden at the side. I really went against conventions with my background image. Magazines tend to have a wall of images, which is exactly what I did, but I decided to add a picture behind that. I felt that the picture was really strong because of the pose and the lighting, so I thought it was a strong enough picture to have as a background. Right, I'll look at my double page spread now. I went with conventions, which were the leading text, the drop cap, the pull quote and the anchor, but there were some things I didn't include, which were like the button, the slug, the picture caption, and I didn't use a filler, which is what sometimes magazines like NME use, which is to, instead of just having like a plain body of text. No conventions were broken with my title. Design fonts such as this one are used in double page spreads, but they can be serif or sans serif, so there aren't really any boundaries. For my body of text, magazines such as NME can have one side as a picture and one side for the text. I followed this layout, which doesn't really break conventions, but I felt it would make the double page spread flow more and seem more together if I put a black box behind it and faded it so you could still see some of the picture. I also extended the title to go halfway across the double page spread so that pages would seem more together. The anchor could be really either noticeable, like in NME, where they have a thick black box on a white background, or a thick white box on a black background, or it can be very inconspicuous, like in Q magazine, where they just put the small red logo with the Q on it. I decided to make it merge with the rest of my page, and I used white to match the title and the lines here, and I also made it the same width as the lines. I didn't want to use too many fonts on my double-page spread, so and I limited myself to 3, so I used the same font for my drop cap as my pull quotes. So now I'm looking at how my media product represents particular social groups. My target audience is male and female, B to C2 social grading, ages 17 to 26, and they have a keen interest in music. For the pictures, parkas and hoop earrings tend to be seen on like young people and ages of 16 to 26. Singers like Jessie J wear hoop earrings quite a bit. The artists that I use are mainly artists that are in the charts at the moment. Ed Sheeran, Mumford & Sons, the people featured also of a similar age to the readers. For my language, I used informal and conversational. Higher class people are probably seen less likely to swear compared to others. These types of address make the magazine seem more relaxed and can relate to its audience more. Choice of articles. I chose articles that include the audience, like I included an article called The Reader's Takeover, and this creates a clear relationship with the reader and makes them feel part of the magazine. Colour, red, black and white colour scheme. When doing my questionnaire, I found that this was most favoured by my audience, and this colour scheme is also seen to be very associated with like that indie rock pop genre. And for my font, it's still quite fun and bright, but I didn't want to make it too design and make the magazine seem a bit more serious and appealing to those in the B social grading. Right, now we'll look at how the media is, what kind of media institution might distribute my media product and why. So for this section, I researched different publishers and media institutions to see which one might suit my magazine best. So first I looked at Hearst magazines. The reasons why this media institution would be good is because its main focus is magazines. So that shows that they focus clearly on magazines. There's also a small amount of magazines that means more focus for my magazine, and it has lots of main interests, which means that my magazine could stretch to different areas of media and different platforms of media. For example, television and radio, TV production, so that could really help. But for the reasons I didn't choose it is that it has absolutely no music magazines. This means that it has no experience on how to make a good music magazine. And it's more of a fashion brand because it has magazines such as Cosmopolitan and Elle. And it's not really appealing to younger people, and it's mainly towards adults. And you can see it says 32% of UK adults, so it's not really my target audience. Next, I looked at IPC Media. The reasons why it's good is that it makes brands iconic, and it's worked with music magazines such as NME, so it shows it has that experience. And its websites get almost as much attention as their magazines, and this shows that they know it's another way of connecting with my audience. The reasons why I didn't choose it is, although it has worked with magazines like NME, it would be big competition because NME, I find it's too similar to my magazine, and again it has a huge focus on adults, which means its target audience isn't really parallel with mine. So my chosen publisher is Bauer Media. It has a wide range of magazines that spread all over the world, 230 magazines in 15 countries, which would really help the progression of my magazine. It also has a large amount of music media, including magazines, radio stations and TV channels, which would really help when making my magazine a big brand. And it has influential music magazines such as Q and Kerrang. It may seem like maybe big competition, but that I feel they're not very similar to my magazine, because Kerrang is like a more rocky, gothy genre, and Q, the target audience, I think is mainly based toward adults. It also may seem like Bauer Media also has a big focus on adults, but it also does produce magazines that are hugely popular with younger readers, as I know, such as Heat magazine and Grazia magazine. Next, I'll be looking at who would be the audience for my media product. Again, there's my target audience. Younger people are seen as having a bigger interest in music. Younger people are the ones who want to actively go out and see the artists and see them perform. My magazine targets those people and those performers that are willing to perform. And having it as an indie pop genre means also that my magazine would appeal to more people and a broader range of people, as in certain people who like indie music and certain people who like pop music. And by knowing that the readers are actually interested and serious about the music, I can know what the audience want to read and how serious they are about the content of the magazine, rather than just purely focused on the artist and the gossip. And now we'll look at how I attracted and addressed my audience. So for my front cover, I did direct eye contact, so it's like the artist is looking at you and you're looking at the artist. I also included artists favoured by them, up-and-coming artists. Not only the pictures represent this, but also the artists that are included on my front cover. For example, Ed Sheeran is mentioned in my magazine, and he falls under this category. Through my questionnaire, I learned that Ed Sheeran was an artist that people of ages 17 plus wanted to see. I used bright colours, and from doing my questionnaire, I saw that red, black and white was a colour scheme that was most favoured by my target audience. These colours go really well together and they don't clash at all. And I used informal conversational tags. These types of dress give the magazine a more relaxed feel, so the readers don't have to stress too much when reading the magazine. For my table of contents, some artists that I used were Ed Sheeran and Mumford & Sons, which were the most popular from my questionnaire. I was also able to use pictures that I have taken of the actual artists. I use articles that interest them and keep them updated, like the upcoming tours and gigs, which again applies to my audience because I know that they are of an age where they want to go out and see performances. And I felt that by including an article with the reader's takeover, it would really interest them, as they would feel included and it would create a relationship with my reader. For my table of contents, the informal language is less likely to appeal to those who are of a higher class. The conversational language also adds to the tough persona of the artist. And at the bottom, just above the anchor, here, I stated when the audience can buy the upcoming album promoted and how they can get it, which is from iTunes, which is one of the most well-known places to buy music. And I also included social networking in my article. Social networking is hugely popular and a part of a lot of young people's lives. So I mentioned that the artist had a Twitter account and something happened on it. And this means that the artist can really relate to the audience, and the audience can follow the artist, not just through the magazine, and through another media platform. And so look at what I've learned about technologies from the process of constructing this product. So with Photoshop, I was able to make the model's complexion look clear, and I could edit out her blemishes. I could also make her lips seem smoother and edit out hairs that were out of place by using the clone stamp tool, which is this one. This tool takes a section of the picture you have selected and replaces it where you next select. I also altered the brightness and contrast to make the picture look like it's more sunny. By liquefying the picture, I was able to make the model's eyelashes bigger and alter parts of her face. I was also able to make the background black and white by creating another layer, making this layer black and white, and then rubbing out where the model was. Levels really helped me with enhancing my pictures and making them look a lot more professional. This is a picture I used for my table of contents. I thought it was a pretty strong picture because of the lighting and the pose of the model. But I was able to make the picture even stronger by changing the levels. I selected a black point of the picture, for example, the back of the head there, and then highlighted the light behind the artist and made the outline of the artist stronger. I also changed the levels on this one. I selected a grey point on her top, and this enhanced the picture as well. With SlideShare, it was really easy to use. After finishing my PowerPoint, all I had to do was upload the PowerPoint and it would turn it into a presentation. It would also embed this presentation so that I could put it on my blog and share with others. Picnic was also very simple and it was completely free. I was able to edit pictures, and each tool had a really clear name and it directed you what to do with the tools. However, after saving my images, I could see that they weren't as good of quality as I had done them on Photoshop. Looking back at my preliminary task, what do I feel I've learned in the progression from it to the full product? So my first task was to do a school magazine, and we can see on the school magazine that it's completely different. With this picture, all I did was edit out blemishes and very simple things on Photoshop, and all I did was make her complexion seem clearer. But with Acapella, I was able to do more with the picture, like change the background to black and white and alter her eye and hair colour. And I only used 2 cover lines and didn't use a barcode on the fold. I didn't use a barcode because it was a school magazine and so it wouldn't be bought, but it does make it look a lot less professional. And the picture wasn't completely planned and the model hasn't got any costume on, but that wasn't necessarily needed. However, it was planned that the picture was to be taken in the library, but the different coloured books and background really hinders the reader from actually seeing what is inside the magazine. In my table of contents, we can see there's a lot of white space. This is because I did only use 2 pictures. I could have made it stronger by adding more pictures or text, or possibly a plain coloured background. We can also see the text isn't completely lined up. The page numbers on the pictures they're a different distance from the end of the picture, and not all the articles, page numbers and numbers are not all lined up. But with Acapella, I made sure there were no empty white spaces. If there were sections there was no text, I made sure nothing was there. As in, I used a background image on my table of contents and a wall of images to fill white spaces. I used several cover lines and explanatories on my front cover to give the audience more of an insight into the magazine. Also made sure that I did an explanatory for each cover line so that each cover line or kicker can be understood by the audience. When making my table of contents, I used a grid on Photoshop to make sure each piece of text was lined up. I also made all the pictures that were used on the wall the same size so that they would be perfectly symmetrical. When making Acapella, I was able to focus on a target audience more, as I had a target audience in mind. With the school magazine, the audience was more general, but with the music magazine, that meant I could focus on a particular group of people who liked a particular genre of music. By deciding on this genre, I was able to base my magazine on that genre and focus on my target audience. Thank you for watching.